Well, it says we're recording. It says we're back. It's January 31st. Middle of the night. Well, middle of the early morning. So it's been a long time since I've done a video. And that's basically due to being somewhat busy. And really just not... I just kind of lost interest, I guess, or kind of forgot a little bit. But we're back for now, at least. And it's the middle of the winter. Of course, I can't sleep. And it's freezing cold outside. I actually meant to check the old weather. It's only about 20 degrees. That's not terrible, I suppose. No wonder it's a little warm in here. Anyways, I believe we left off at... as far as the steady progression goes, through the years, it was 4th grade that we cut off. I know I've bounced around a lot, did some music, did some high school stories. Some of this stuff might even get repeated, because quite frankly, I don't know what I've done anymore. What I do know is the last video I did was for Perry, and I was glad that he got to listen to it. And since that all happened, I did get to see him. Not sure that he saw me, but I saw him. And we have visited his wife, Sarah, a couple, 2-3 times now. And we enjoy her and her mom's company. I could never remember her mom's name. Eventually, though, I think I found a trick to remembering it, because I had to ask it again the last time we were there, and I don't remember what's her real name. I don't remember. See, but I do have my name for her, because one of the things she mentioned was she's been called Little Judy, which I think is like her older sister's name, Judy, and she was Little Judy. So now I call her Mini Judy, Micro Judy, Nano Judy, and it works out for me. I, for the life of me, can't remember her real name. I am so horrible with names and dates. Anyways, I think prior to the Perry video, I'm pretty certain I was in 4th grade transitioning to 5th. So I'm going to see what I can come up with here. Let me get comfortable. I've got an hour to burn. So let me get a little comfortable here and see if I can't make this happen. 4th grade to 5th grade summer. I don't remember a tremendous amount of the summer. I know that it was fairly uneventful at first, and the reason I know that is there were no kids in the rental up the street. We lived at the end of the road at this point still. We had our rental, which ultimately became my middle school and high school home, and across the street from it was the Joneses rental. And my fun time basically revolved around who was in those rentals, because if they had kids, then it was good times. I think in our rental was some people named the Stricklands, and they had kids, but they were all way older than me, so no dice there. And I think that across the street in the Joneses rental was some kids named Bill and Steve and Ron, but they were all older than me too. But I can't remember if they were there during my summer break that year. So either way, I didn't have a lot going on as far as friends go on our street, on our road. I don't remember either if I was done playing with trucks by then. My truck empire, I think, had pretty much folded. I think I'd outgrown my Tonkas. I don't have any real outstanding memories of that summer, although if I saw some pictures or something, I would be reminded of it. Now, midsummer, at some point, this is about the time that my dad started going to military auctions. And I hated being drugged to those things, but for some reason I was obligated to go. So it would be myself, my dad, and 2 or 3 of his friends. Sometimes maybe an uncle, but mostly it was 2 or 3 of his friends, or whatever you might call them. They were they were just guys that he knew, and the reason he took them was he was looking for a drivers, because his whole thing was he would drive over, we would drive to either Spokane auction at the military base, Fairchild Air Force Base, or Tacoma to Fort Lewis, and then once I think we even went to Bremerton Naval Base. But he would buy pickups, old 60s Dodge crew cab pickups, and he would buy 2 or 3 of those things, and they were actually in pretty good running shape. They were all 6-cylinder, slow but low miles on them, and just kind of last forever kind of a truck. But he would sell to a couple of them and then keep one. And it's the first time that we ever named one of our trucks. It was Old Blue, the original Old Blue, because I had an Old Blue myself later on. But anyways, I think that was, we did take a trip or two to a couple of auctions, and then I remember one time we loaded up the car and went to a military base in Boise, Idaho. But I don't know if there was a freeway back then all the way to Boise. I do know that we had a road map, and we were lost somewhere in Idaho, and somebody that was using the map, running the map, kept saying, go this way, go that way. And we found a sign eventually, and it said Grand Tetons on it. I remember that because my dad said, where the hell are we? What the hell are the Grand Tetons? And I think somebody else at that point took over the map, and we did make it to the cell. Don't think we even bought anything at that one, because I don't remember driving back with a caravan of trucks, convoy, if you will. Nothing else really stands out in my mind about that trip, or really any of the others, except that at one point somewhere in Idaho I had to go to the bathroom really bad. There was nowhere to go. My dad pulled the car over, pointed at the shoulder of the road on the freeway, and said, there you go. And I was in too much of a desperate situation to argue with him. So I did that, and I remember car after truck whizzing by as I'm whizzing down. Embarrassing, but I did tell myself, well, it's only strangers. There's not like there's anybody I know, I guess. And that's the end of that trip. Now, the rest of the summer, was kind of sparked by a visit. My dad's uncles showed up. Now, I don't know if this was a planned deal or if they were just passing through, but either way, he was like, well, they're going to Alaska. Let's go. And I can't remember if I wanted to go, if I had to go, if I talked my way into going. I don't remember that part. I do remember that we drove in a Mercedes diesel and car that was my uncle, like my great uncle, I guess, liked showing off that it was, if he floored it, it would spew black smoke all over the place on the road, which was kind of cool, I guess, because I used that later on in life as my own trick with another diesel car that I had. But it seemed to unfold rather quickly. Like I said, I don't know if it was planned or what, but either way, next thing I know, we're on the road, we're packed up, and we're going to Seattle. So we drive to Seattle. Nothing eventful about that trip that I remember, except that it was a nice, beautiful, it was summertime, it was a nice, beautiful drive. My dad always acted a little strange around those two uncles. You never saw my dad nervous, never. But he always got kind of nervous around them. You saw him nervous twice, 2 or 3 times. Number one, if he was worried about the kids, any kid. Number two, if the preacher from the church was coming out to visit my mom, in which case he would say the same exact thing every time: I'm getting the hell out of here. And he would make sure and drive that point home like 4 or 5 times. It was obviously a reaction to having the preacher in his house. So, and then of course the third time was around these two uncles. He would get nervous. He would get a little amped up on energy levels and such. So later on in years I asked him, why he, in fact I said, why do you always try to impress them? Are you afraid of them? And he said no. He said that when his dad had died, that they had stepped in and helped really take care of the family, and it was more of a sign of respect to just treat them with a lot of respect because they took care of his family. I mean, he had a lot of brothers and sisters, and he was, I think, 13 when his dad died, and everybody else was younger than him. So anyways, we get to the airport, SeaTac, and I don't remember if we bought tickets at that point or if we had them already. I really don't know. But and I think, I don't know, it seems familiar that I've said this story before because there had been plane crashes on the news, and it was a DC-9 Boeing, I think it was DC-9. Is that who made the DC-9? I don't remember, or DC-10. DC-10. Anyways, crashes due to cracks in the framework. And I remember one of my great uncles, their names were Stan and Les, one of them said, well, I'm not riding on no DC-10 or DC-9, whatever it was. I think it was 10. Anyways, I'm not riding on that. We get up to the counter, we get our tickets, we do our check-in, we do our luggage, all that stuff. And we somebody asked whoever, what are we riding in? And she, of course, said DC-10, DC-9. I'll never remember the difference unless I look it up. Anyways, so the flight to Alaska was uneventful. I do remember being able to see the curvature of the earth. That was pretty sweet from my window seat. I wasn't really scared of flying. Landing, I can't remember. I think, somebody picked us up, and we were in Anchorage, Alaska, and we spent a few days there. My first night there was horrible for me. I was a big old fat mama's boy, crybaby, and was probably one of the first times I had ever stayed anywhere besides my sister's house. I was poked into a bedroom with some goofy kid that was apparently some cousin or something. Can't remember his name. And Jimmy, I think it was, in a bunk bed in a strange room with a strange kid in the middle of the night, because it was the middle of the night when we arrived. And ended up creating a bit of a scene, bawling my big old tubby eyes out, and my dad eventually came in and got me and spanked me. I think it was for show. And I slept with him on the floor in the living room, and I was asleep instantly. It made it all better. It was just something, the strange place thing, what can you say? And our week up there was fun. I mean, we went to the zoo, and I got to see a wolverine, a bunch of wolverines, in fact. I saw some wolves. I saw a whole bunch of Eskimo people there. I saw a polar bear that played with this big barrel, like a water pit. And I don't remember any of the other animals that I saw there. I noticed that everybody was saying it was so hot, and I was freezing. It was like 75 degrees or something, and they were just burning up. Didn't see any gardens or anything. I remember that. But I did see lots of raspberries, and that was kind of cool because I never had access to berries like that. They were everywhere. And we went, saw some sights, saw a glacier, went salmon fishing. Didn't catch anything. My uncle, my dad's cousin, I just called him Uncle Jim for lack of a better term, but anyways, he had a little secret compartment in his tackle box. And we got to the riverbank, and there were lots of fishermen there, but he got us to a kind of a secluded area and said, now here's this trick. And he takes out this little secret compartment type thing, and he's got all these big pieces of lead in there. And he said, this is how you fish. You cast it as far as you can, and then you drag it across and just snag a big salmon. Okay. Yeah, we tried that for a while. It didn't work out. So we went home, and what else did we do? We had a big old fish fry type thing. That was cool. King crab and halibut. Now that was sweet. I was never exposed to seafood to that level before, especially nice fresh stuff caught right there. Man, that was good. I remember that. Big old giant chunks of halibut. So coming home that year, I did take a camera, I remember that. And I waited literally for years to get those pictures developed. And then we started 5th grade. I do remember, another couple things about the Alaska trip. I know that either on the way up or on the way back, we stayed at some other relatives in the Tacoma area. They were tree cutting people. They trimmed trees for a living. Had a business. We did that. And we also, while up there was another relative up there, and I stayed at their house one night, and there was a bunch of kids there. Most of them were older than me. In fact, they all were. And we watched some movie. I think it was called Seizure. It was about some lady that had epilepsy or something, and I don't know what it was. Everybody else was into it. I fell asleep on a. There was nowhere to sit because there were so many kids there, all relatives of some sort. And so I lined up these two bar stools. They had a bar in their basement or wherever it was, and I lined up these two swivel type chair stools, and I fell asleep on them. And then one of my cousins woke me up. and said, "Look what you did." And apparently I drooled out the side of my mouth and drooled all over the stool and everywhere else, and I was like kind of embarrassed, and it was I guess no big deal, but it was weird. And then they said, let's go to bed, and they had this thing about the way they slept with pillows, which I found kind of weird, that they would point it out to me, "This is how we sleep with our pillows," and I was like, yeah, okay, whatever. I think I was used to not having my dad around and being in strange places at that point, because I didn't have a hard time or anything that night. And there were a few other memories. I mean, nothing of consequence up there. I remember that my Uncle Jim's wife, I think her name was Renee, she had a really dirty mouth. I had never heard a woman really talk like that except my Aunt Janice. So I guess I had one on each side of the family. She could exchange naughty words with my dad just as much as he could. And starting 5th grade, my teacher, I think it was his first year there, and some highlights of my year there. Now at this point in time, I was still supposed to be wearing glasses. The last vision test I had was in 3rd grade. And I went to the eye doctor again, probably that summer, got a new pair of glasses. I remember they were thick frames, brownish in color, and I don't care what they looked like. They could have, I wouldn't wear them. I just simply wouldn't. I struggled all the way till, years, literally. Clear up into high school. Without putting a pair of glasses on. I just refused to wear them. And so 5th grade, I, once again, wearing no glasses, just either sitting as close as I could to the board or just listening and learning. And I do remember that that year I did pass a science test. Got it was like a research. It wasn't a test. It was like a research paper where you had to answer these 30 questions. And I got all those, and I got to go to the observatory in Goldendale, and that was kind of cool. I think that was toward the end of the year. At the beginning of the year was when we did the Revolutionary War reenactment. That was fun. Captain Parker, the British are coming, That was my line. Whoever Captain Parker was. I think it was Lexington and Concord was a battle that we reenacted. And my dad had helped me build a cannon out of coffee cans and butcher paper, where we put the coffee cans end to end, and then wrapped it all in butcher paper, and then cut it out kind of, and it made it look, and put a bit of base on it, and made it look like a cannon as a prop for the play, because we did kind of perform it in the class, and that was pretty neat. I think the highlight of my year was Rockets. It's the first time I'd ever heard of or seen or ultimately got to play with was Rockets, was the model rockets that you build that have the little solid core engines in them. And some guy came to our class and he was passing out catalogs and everything and giving us a big old speech about them and all this other stuff. Obviously a salesman, but most likely invited by the school, because we collaborated with the entire 5th grade, and actually the entire school came out to watch the launching once we got them all up and running. Kids were buying just rockets. They were like $3.99, $2.99, $12.99 for something bigger, and maybe up to $20 or something for some really big ones. I think I remember one was called Big Bertha, and a green machine. I didn't get any of those. I wanted everything. I was the only kid in class that ordered the launch pad kit, because I knew that we were going to launch them at school, and then I'd never get to use it again. And living out in the country, the rentals were probably empty by that point. I'm sure they were.
Let's get right into it.
Then I knew I'd be alone, so I bought the Alpha 3 package. I don't know. I probably just went home and told my parents I had to do it, because for them to cough up $20, that was not a common thing in my house. So I got my rocket kit, took it home, spent the next couple of days preparing it, building the rocket, and then I went outside and launched it, and I was just thrilled. It came with 3 engines, I remember that, and I may have bought an extra pack, but I think I launched it once or twice at I know I did once. Took me forever to find it. You know, you're talking about the kid that can't see anything, and here it is. I couldn't even see it when it went up in the air. And eventually, I think my little sister helped me find it in the neighbor's field, and I then went to school and got ready for the big launch day with the rest of the school, class, whatever. Now that day I did wear my glasses, because having launched my own rocket, I saw that I couldn't see a thing past probably 50 feet in the air. So I did put my glasses on that day, but I justified it by the fact that they darkened when out in the sun, so I just told everybody it was sunglasses. And we launched rockets, and mine, just like everybody's, went up. It was just an amazing time for me. Now, prior to even after the salesman came, there's one funny part here. After the salesman came, and we were waiting to either get our rockets or order them or whatever, or plan it for the spring, whatever we were doing, I was at home trying to make my own rocket. I had a couple of friends. They were twins, Greg and something, I don't remember. Anyways, they were twins, and they were science kids, and another friend named Sam and another friend named Dan. I don't know whatever happened to Dan. I don't remember much about him except he had really bad breath. Sam was funny, and I don't know what happened to him either. I mean, he was with us through many years later, but then he just kind of disappeared too. But we were sitting outside at recess, and I told him I wanted to build my own rocket. And so we were drawing up plans, and I had my plan. I knew what I was going to do. There used to be these plastic toys you could buy, and it had rubber. It was a rocket. It was a plastic rocket, and it wasn't really a rocket. It had a little spring on the front with rubber band, and you would take a cap, like in a cap gun, and you would put it in there, and then you'd throw it. It had a weighted tip, so when it hit concrete, it would puncture the cap and then make a noise, bang. Now I had big plans for making that into an actual rocket, so I drew up mine. Dan was drawing up his. I don't remember what his looked like, but I do remember what Sam's looked like, because he was funny. He was a funny guy. So while we were over there with all of our sketches and our plans and our schematics for 5th grade rocketry, well, let's see what you got, Sam. And he showed it to us. It was like a missile blowing up the school or something. He had not taken that project seriously at all, and we're like, well, Sam's out. So I went home. My plan was to take gunpowder that we had, because my dad reloaded shells, shotgun shells, take some gunpowder, put it in the little rockety thing with some gasoline, and obviously if I just lit it, it would just take off and be a rocket, right? I mean, makes sense. But we didn't have any gas laying around. We did have the gunpowder, so I took it. The only thing I could find that was a fuel was diesel. So I soaked the thing in diesel. And, probably 5-inch high is how big this little thing is, maybe 1.5 inches in diameter. And I lit it, expecting it to just take off and go up and be this glorious rocket. And what did it do? It melted. Yep, that was the end of my rocketry until I got the real one. And I shot it. I shot that one off till I ran it out of engines, and I really loved it. I have bought several rockets in my life ever since, and I still enjoy it. In fact, somewhere around here we have a whole bag of them. We should probably get those out and do it again. So anyways, other highlights of 5th grade. Our kite project, which we made kites out of garbage bags and some kind of wooden dowel that somebody had brought or supplied or something, except I didn't have one, and maybe we were supposed to go buy them. Yeah, that's what it was. We were supposed to go down and buy them, but I think my dad was done being generous or something, because we went out to the tree and cut a stick. So my kite was made out of a stick for the framework, sticks, and the garbage bag thing. And we were supposed to be putting these things together and selling them off and making a business and all this stuff. And I remember being kind of steamed about that, because we were supposed to elect the business officers for the class, and that's one of the first times I ever saw just the whole popularity contest thing. There were kids that knew I was one of them about a lot of the science behind that. We had been talking about ways to sell them in business stuff, but they just, the class just, I guess it's just a natural thing. You just pick the 2 best looking kids in the class, the blondest hair, or it was a blonde and a redhead at that point. But the most popular kids, and they're obviously the most qualified. I mean, that's a life lesson right there. If you, people are and can be shallow even in 5th grade. It wasn't necessarily the most qualified person. It was just the most attractive person or something. I don't know. Most liked, most athletic, most cutest, I don't know, whatever. Now on the way, I remember we walked down to the bank as a class and opened an account in our business name, whatever it was. And on the way down, I was walking with Chuck. Now I can't say these words on the YouTube video because I'll get flagged and screened, but on the way down, my friend Chuck was telling me the slang terms for just about every race there was, which I just thought was hilarious because I had never heard any of them. That was really the most eventful part of that trip, was the memories with Chuck, because I was cracking up. They were so funny. And he was all matter of fact about it, like categorizing. This is what you call this person, this is what you call that person. Okay, got it. I'm good. And then we, what other memories? I was out in the hall a lot in 5th grade. I think that was actually the very beginning of my long career of being put out in the hall by various teachers. It was just a common thing for me. In fact, well, it started in 3rd grade, because in 3rd grade, I'm pretty certain that my teacher even had me move my desk out there. I spent so much time out there. But it happened again in 5th grade. I practically lived in that hall. And it wasn't because I was doing anything terrible. I just wouldn't shut up. Couldn't see. What else am I going to do? Talk, make jokes, make fun of somebody. That's what I did. That's where I saw teacher named Alan Walker put a thumping on actually the same kid, Chuck. In today's world, that would be probably grounds for criminal charges, but Chuck came out of my class and was singing a song, and for my sake, to entertain me, because I'm out in the hall, and he was on his way to the bathroom, but the entire class across the hallway heard it. He went to the bathroom, the teacher came out. I'm going to say that name again, Alan Walker, in case there's anybody ever that's listening, if that guy's still alive, wants to say, well, where did Chuck go down the wrong path? Well, maybe this was part of it, because he came out of the classroom and started, we're talking about a full-grown man pushing on a 5th grader. He was pushing his shoulders with each hand, thump, thump, getting in his face, saying, you think you're a big man, think you're funny, thump, thump, until they got to the wall, which was right by my where my desk was. It was a wall that had a big window in it that looked out onto the playground, and he pushed Chuck into that, and pretty hard. Chuck's head thumped the window. Now, it probably would have had a good chance of breaking the window, but it was that kind of glass that had the wire inside of it, and so it didn't break, but Chuck was pretty meek after that point, and Walker didn't say a word to me except when he was done. He said, "Oh, hi, hello," and he walked back into his class calm as day, and I think Chuck was maybe crying by that point, but whatever the case, 5th grade, I did hold the record literally for decades of looking up words in the dictionary. That was something I could see. And he had 2 different contests, the teacher did. One of them was fastest to look up a word. He would just have a timer, and he would say a word, and everybody had a dictionary, and you slapped open the dictionary, found the word, and raised your hand when you got it. Well, my little system was to visually divide the dictionary into roughly 20 sections or so, because I knew that some letters just didn't matter, like Z, X, and I don't remember what the word was, but I, on that day, opened the dictionary right to or within a page or two of the word, found it, and I think it was like 4 or 5 seconds that it took me to find that word. I was fast, and I raised my hand, and he stopped the timer and had you read the definition out loud. You had to put your finger on it, and he would come over and check it. And my name went up on this special poster board, and it was never broken. But then, and if that was a fluke, fine. But he had another one where he gave a list of words, and then you had to look each one of them up, and I think it was give him the page number that it was on. You'd had to write it down or something so that he could check that you did it. And I won that one, and I won them both fairly consistently. So I mean, I was fast, and I did see him. Must have been 15, 20 years later. I don't know what it was. Long time. At least 10. I don't know. Anyways, he told me that I still held those records. And I was like, well, that's a fine thing to know. Okay, 5th grade. Anything else? Chess. I had learned to play chess in 3rd grade. And in 5th grade, oh man, I swear I've told these stories before, maybe just in person to you kids. Anyways, the teacher's name was Mr. Beaver. Great name, Mr. Beaver. And his first name was Marion. Marion Beaver. Yep. And he, at lunchtime, started doing chess. And I was really good already, because I'd been playing. My Uncle Larry had taught me in 3rd grade, 2nd, 3rd grade, and I had any chance I got to play, I would. I was pretty good. I could pretty much dominate anybody in the class. And I remember playing him even as he ate a banana. And he was kind of a weird guy. Not bad or anything, just kind of, I think he was really into, he must have been like a science teacher or something. He was really into whatever subject he taught, he was really into it, maybe. I don't know. I never had him as a teacher, I just had him as a chess guy. And that's the year my friend Caesar came to school too, I believe. When he came, he was full-blown Mexican, man. I'm not sure what his story was, or if he was legal, illegal, or what, but he was in school. He was migrant. I have no idea, but I know that later on in the years he became a very, very good friend of mine and ultimately got killed but after high school. But when he showed up in Prosser, he couldn't speak a lick of English. Or wouldn't, but I'm pretty sure it was couldn't. And but he was a nice kid. He was funny, and by the time we were in sometime in middle school, he was speaking English just fine. So I know that he lived with his sister. So I'm not sure what happened with his parents or anything. At his funeral, I know that he had a brother, because I saw him and he looked just like him. It was kind of odd. I mean, it was uncanny how much he resembled his brother. But we used to play dodgeball in 5th grade there behind the school. The school was a single-story school, and it had kind of a overhang on the roof around the edges, and they had these cinder block walls that went out and supported it, and they were perfect for dodgeball. Get 4 or 5 kids lined up on that wall, and we would always go around to the back corner of the school where the library was, because we would throw the ball, yes, but we also played with kicking. And it was those smaller than a basketball, but rubbery ball, and gym ball, I'm not sure what you call them. You put that on the ground and you kick it, man. You could fire those things. They hurt when they hit you. You got to be pretty good at dodgeball pretty quick. You learn to react, to not sit and stare, but to jump, to move. Because when that ball came at you, it was going to hurt. And we also played another game in the gym. It was called Dead Rabbit. And there was kids in the center of the gym with balls. And we were on little scooters. And you had to... was it scooters? No, it wasn't. We were running. You would run from one side to the other of the gym, from one boundary line to the other. I imagine it was like a basketball court painting, the lines or something. And if you got tagged, you had to sit down, and now you became hot too. And so you could touch kids that were running by until there was only one left. And I was consistently either winning it or one of the very last finishers, because I quickly figured out that when the PE dude, I think his name was Mr. Anderson, when he blew the whistle, that if I just waited, all my teammates, all my classmates would take off running, and the kids in the center would launch their balls, and I just casually jog through and make it to the other side. And that always worked and got me into the last, probably last 4 or 5 kids left standing, if not the last. But it wasn't that hard to figure out. Just let them throw their balls, and then just dodge kids on the ground that are trying to tag you, and you'll be fine. Other things in 5th grade. Did I work in the cafeteria? Was that my first year in the cafeteria?
John Pickett said, I really
don't remember, but I don't think it was. So no cafeteria, no monumental books that I discovered that year. I think I had read pretty much all that I wanted to read in that school library, which was quite a bit, but I do remember we played flag football that spring, our class against the other class, and the game started at lunchtime and went clear up to the end of the day. Because we couldn't. It was like where you pull the person's flag off to keep them from. I don't even know the football terms because I don't play football. I don't like football. I don't watch football. But anyways, pull the flag off, flag football, and we kept doing these Kansas City tiebreakers, whatever it was. Blah blah blah. I think that's where I had money. I had a lot of friends that year. I seemed to be jumping around a bit because I think I had my other friend, was it, I can't think of who it was, but he was complaining. He brought a canteen to school, and he was complaining about one. Nope, that would have been 4th grade because there wouldn't have been anybody older than us in the school. So, wrong story. Anyways, older kid picking on him, and
here's what lead singer and co-writer Colin Hay told me about the song.
He was sick of it. Had been complaining about it. He brought a canteen one day. The older kid was there. And again, this is in 4th grade, so I have to back up a little bit. So now that I started the story, and his name was Heath Corvola, the older kid was, and he demanded a drink from the canteen, and so he handed it to the other kid. I can't remember who it was. Handed it to him, and he took a drink. And when he was drinking it, I hit it. I had like an open palm, and he had it raised up, and I hit the end of it. And in my mind, I was going to break his teeth out with the metal canteen. I hit it as hard as I could and started running. I really don't remember what happened after that, except I do remember the kid that I was supposedly standing up for telling me, "Why did you do that? I like him now." I was like, well, thanks for telling me. I just did this deal to a older kid.
Listen to that album almost every day.
And
special place for me because the fear it helped me forget.
I don't think I got in trouble though. I was in trouble for plenty of other things, but not that apparently.
She was responsible for gifting.
Oh, come on. Other stories from 5th grade. Fairly uneventful year now that I think about it. I mean, I'm sure there's highlights or pictures or something if I could think of them, but I do know that my hair was really wavy at that point, and it was really goofy looking all the time, and I really didn't care. Oh, and I had a vest. That back in that era, to have a vest was a big deal. You know, a coat without sleeves. It was a big deal to have a vest, especially if it was a button-up one. They were the best for some reason. The most sought-after, coveted vests were the button-up ones, whereas the zipper one that I had just was still cool, but not quite that cool. Oh, and I remember too, yeah, that's right, you wore a vest over a sweatshirt, what they call now a hoodie, but a hooded sweatshirt, and you were completely top of the line at that point. You were the dude. And I had that. I had the sweatshirt, I had the vest, and I guess I was pretty cool for a 5th grader. Alright, well, I've got about 10 minutes left here, and I'm really clawing at trying to think about what's next. Maybe I'll just try to see, a lot of things changed between after 5th grade, so I want to hold the summer off for the 6th grade video because there's a lot of things that happen.
After
But,
putting 13 songs
I'm just trying to dig up any more. Oh, trip to the river, 5th grade. Nature hike. The river sat below the school. It was maybe a half mile away at the most. You had to walk across the road, highway. We walked, so we did that. It was a little field trip for the class, and I had been fishing with my dad a couple of times, 2 or 3 times, but that was under his supervision, and there's a certain feeling to being free with a non-parent, like a school teacher. So, of course, we went down there, got right down into the riverbank. I don't remember why we were there, but I had these friends. Chuck was one of them. They were very worldly compared to me. I liked Chuck because he was funny, and he rode my bus. But him and my other friend Andy and another kid named Rob, they were very worldly kids, and they were getting into things that I really had no knowledge of or experience of. They were bringing cigarettes to school, things like that. But we were down at the river, and Chuck and Andy were searching all over the riverbank. I was like, "What are you guys doing?" And they said, "We're looking for pot plants, man. We're looking for pot plants. We know that people grow pot plants down here." I was like, "What's a pot plant?" Get you high. I said, "A plant will get you high? What does that mean, high?" Pot plant. Oh, okay, well, good luck with that, I guess. I really wanted to get to the water itself. We had been told not to, but I really wanted to, and I think it was springtime, because I think the floods had already come. It always flooded on that river when the snow melted in the mountains, and so it was really muddy on the bank. And of course, I didn't mind, and I went down to the bank and sunk into the mud halfway up to my knees, and my teacher had to come and pull me, reach over and grab me and pull on me. And he pulled on me, and I came right out of my shoes, and my shoes were buried in the mud. I don't know, at least 6 inches down. So I had to go back out there with socks and find my shoes and dig them out, and I was the muddy kid that everybody was laughing at, but I probably, in my mind, it was worth it, because I really wanted to get a taste of that river. I really had ideas about things, floating boats, canoes, whatever. I was reading a lot of novels back then about American Indians and Old West stuff and pioneer stuff, and I think I really wanted to go down there and be, Last of the Mohicans or something. I'm not sure, but so there's that. And we also fired clay that year. First time I ever got to do that. We brought clay in from somewhere, and we all made our pots, and some lady came, and she was Miss Artsy, and we built this big bonfire thing out on the edge of the school property, and I think it was probably on a Friday. Lit it. There's all this wood burning and all of our clay pots and plates or whatever, cups, whatever we had in there. And then we went home, and it sat all weekend, and then we went out there on the next Monday, and everything was broken. So that was no good. Subject-wise, I really did get a pretty big taste of the Civil War. Things like that you just don't really see much anymore. Reenacting a battle, you learn a lot, and watching other kids and getting into it. That was a pretty good teaching method, in my opinion. Science class, pet computers had just come out, And we had one in that Alan Walker's classroom. He had 2 PET computers. I think it was one of Commodore's first computers. Probably, I don't even know what PET stood for. But it was super duper simple. Basically just green line graphics and stuff. I mean, it was nothing at all for a computer, but it was like, wow, computers are here. And I really loved my science class. I was really into science at that point. I remember doing at a contest where he was going to send every kid has to draw their spaceship, their idea of a spaceship. The shuttle was a big deal back then, the space shuttle. It had gone through 2 or 3 launches by this time, and it was a really big deal. The whole nation would watch when the space shuttle was going to take off, and even have it fed into classrooms and everything. It was a really big deal. So we had to make our own ideas for spaceships, and I remember making mine. And I didn't understand how steering a rocket would work in space, so I had this weird flap things going on with thruster engines, and we had to present it to the class and then vote on which ones got sent to NASA. Like some 5th graders classroom rockets are gonna change the course of their planning or something. But when you're in 5th grade, that's a big dream. That's cool. I didn't win. I know that. And what else? Oh, I know what I did at lunch. I did help out. I was the milk kid. And then I ultimately got promoted to a serving kid. That's right, because Brian, my friend Brian Cooley was also one of those. And I got the job at some point during the school year of the kids would come to lunch to the cafeteria, get their tray and get served in a line. And then the last thing they would do was give up their ticket. I took the tickets, and I gave them a milk. And of course, I was always having kids demanding 2 milks. And I remember Sebastian Castellea, who would later be called Zeb. He was it him or was it Romero Munoz? One of those two. I always tried to draw a ticket, color it blue, because the tickets were blue. I remember that. Take a piece of paper, put some black stuff on it like writing, and then color the whole thing blue and try to pass that off. Probably got a few past me because I couldn't see anything. But I do remember catching him or having one of the teachers see him or something. And then I do remember my goofy nerd teacher. He made some dumb joke as he was getting his lunch, because teachers would eat there too. And I remember he said something about muscle. Lots of muscle. There's Mike, lots of muscle, something like that. I don't remember what it was. But I do remember him putting his hand on my head and like squeezing my top of my head, saying, now lots of muscle, even more muscle, or something like that. Basically, he was calling me a muscle head, or my brain was a muscle or something. He was trying to be funny. I didn't get it at the time. To be honest, I really don't get it now, but whatever. I did get promoted into serving at one point, and that became the highlight of my day, my year, because we got to eat for free, number one, so I got to keep my lunch money, of course, but number two, we got to serve ourselves after all the other kids were served, and we could pile it up, man. Of course, being the fat kid, and I say fat, I was definitely a chubber, but I wasn't some big rotund roly-poly thing that you gotta grease up just to get through the door. I was just a chunky kid, but man, I like to eat, and eat I did. I would, oh man, I would serve myself up at the end of and that was just a big old tickling treat there. Well, I've done it. I've made it an hour. So it is almost 2 a.m. and I will get this one matched to some gameplay video and upload it as soon as possible, probably later on today after I go back to bed. And hopefully this will spawn a whole nother series of these, because I am really wanting to get these done now that I'm thinking about it. Not to mention I got a bunch of annuals over there that don't belong to me that I need to lend back. And that reminds me, I gotta ask Sarah something. Anyways, that's it for this one. Up next, I believe, is music from about 81, and that corresponds directly with my 5th to 6th grade transition. Later, dudes.
Servidora.
Presto.
¿Sí?
Servidor.
Mande. Construir. Construir.
¿Sí? Construir, construir.
Presto.
¿Sí? Degrado. Construir. 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 Construir.
Servidor.
¿Sí?
Servidora.
Mande.
Presta.
¿Sí? Construir, 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 construir.
¿Sí? Construir.
Presto. Servidor.
Presta. Construir. Construir.
Construir, construir.
¿Mande?
Presto.
¿Servidora?
Sí. Construir. Servidor.
¿Mande?
Mande.
¿Sí? Construir. 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 Construir.
¿Mande?
Sí. Mande. Presto. Servidor. Mande. Servidor. Construir, construir, construir.
Presta. Construir. 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 Construir.
Sí.
¿Servidora?
Presto. Construir, construir, construir. Mande.
¿Sí?
Attack an enemy now.
Mande. Construir, 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 construir.
Sí. Servidor. Presto. Servidor. Construir, 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 construir.
Servidora. Construir, construir. Presta. Construir.
Presto.
Mande.
Servidor declarado. Voy. Declarado. Sí, voy. Plazme. Sí.
Mande.
Servidora. Construir. Presta.
Sí. Servidor.
¿Sí? Construir, 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 construir.
Mande. Presto.
Mande. Construir.
Sí. Construir. Mande. Sí. Servidor. Construir.
¿Sí? Construir.
Presto. Mande.
Servidora. Construir. Construir.
Mande. Sí.
¿Sí? Voy. Construir.
Presto. Construir. 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 Presto. Guerra. Ahora.
Presto.
Mande. ¡Hey! Degrado. Servidor.
¿Mande?
Mande. Construir.
Servidora.
Sí. Sí.
¿Sí? Construir. Construir.
Presto. Sí. Construir, 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 construir. Servidor.
Servidora. Construir.
Mande.
Presto, voy. De grado. Plazme.
Sí.
¿Mande? Construir. 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 Construir.
Presto. Santiago. Agora. Presto. Construir. Construir. Servidor. Mande.
Presta. Construir, 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 construir.
Presto. Construir.
¿Mande?
Servidor. Construir. 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 ¿Sí? Mande.
¿Sí?
¿Sí?
Yes.
Presta.
Mande. Mande. Construir. Construir. Construir.
¿Servidora? Construir. Construir.
Servidor.
Presta. Construir.
¿Sí?
No.
De grado.
¿Mande? Construir.
Presto. Voy. A ellos.
¿Servidora? ¿Sí? Construir.
Presto.
¿Servidora? Presta.
¿Sí? Construir. Construir. Presto.
¿Mande?
Servidor. Construir. Construir. Construir.
Sí. Voy.
¿Sí? ¿Servidora? Construir. 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 Construir.
¿Mande? Sí.
¿Sí?
Sí.
Presta. Construir. 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 ¿Mande?
No.
Construir. 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 ¿Servidora? ¿Mande? Construir. 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 Presta.
¿Mande? Ahora.
¿Sí? Construir. Construir. Construir.
Presto. De grado.
Presta.
Yes.
¿Mande?
Dadgum.
Construir. Construir. Construir.
Presto.
the wonder that... No!
I'm being attacked. Please help.
Mande, bluff.
Servidora.
Use an onager to cut down trees at the flared location.
Construir, construir, construir.
Build a wonder.
The wonder that... No! ¿Sí? Construir, construir.